Hi.
Hi Victoria, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is the best lighting I could achieve.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar here, trying to find that sweet spot between the glare in the mirror and the glare in the windows. But no, it looks fine. So welcome to our Chiasma Chat weekly web series. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Well, awesome. Well, here we have Victoria from Mint Innovation, a recent graduate, process engineer who's been working there since the start of this year. So could you tell us a little bit more about your personal career path, what field you studied in while engineering, maybe elaborate a little bit more on why you chose it, and if this has taken you where you expected it to?
So yeah, I recently graduated from a degree in chemical and materials engineering. I always intended to go into engineering, probably into chemical engineering, since I was about 14 and discovered it was a career option for pretty typical reasons. Like, I liked maths and physics and chemistry, and I wanted a career path that had the potential for a lot of variation in the industries I could go into, and also a lot of opportunities for growth. I would say it hasn't gone the way I expected. When I was in fourth year, I was doing a honours project on chocolate and applying for every food and beverage based job I could find. And I ended up working at an urban mining company. But yeah, basically the CSO of Mint Innovation, Ollie, came into my biotechnology class for a guest lecture, started talking about this process that they had invented to harvest the gold from electronic waste using microorganisms. I thought it sounded pretty awesome, so I approached them about an internship. They accepted me. When I got there, they were just doing the first proper run of their demonstration plant. So I had the pleasure of seeing the gold that they had produced and thought that was awesome. The people there are just great, and I felt like I fit in. So fortunately, they haven't been able to get rid of me since.
So what skills and experiences do you find have been most essential from sort of progressing from university towards an actual career?
I think in terms of skills, the main one that I've been using over the past few months has definitely been managing uncertainty. So important in engineering, probably the most important skill when it comes to transitioning from engineering in class to engineering in the real world. As I said before, I've been working on the mass and energy balance, so a sort of model of our commercial plant. And there are aspects of the plant that haven't been designed yet. The ones that have been designed, we have incomplete data, and you can't just say, oh, I don't have enough information, I can't answer that question. You have to actually pull something together and answer it. The other major skill that I think is really important is teaching yourself how to learn from other people who don't know what your skills are. So in university, your lecturers have a pretty good idea of like what your background is, what you already know, whereas in the real world, people don't know what you know. And so you have to have a lot of self-awareness and know what questions you need to ask and have answers.
Right. Sort of a flow on from that, do you find there's been quite a lot of learning on your feet as you go?
Definitely. And one thing I've actually found really helpful is doing, and this is going to sound really weird, is doing a lot of eavesdropping. Like, I've learned so much by hearing the conversations that go on in meetings and around me when I'm working.
So on to another question. What is one element of personal or professional development that you would encourage students to pursue?
Definitely 100% mentorship. I strongly recommend getting a mentor, and I strongly recommend being a mentor, because one thing that I found really helpful is having people who know more than me around me, who challenge me. And what I look for in a mentor is someone who is very accomplished in their career, who also makes me very angry. Because what I find is that you never refine your own views so much as when you're trying to prove someone wrong who knows more than you.
Yeah, exactly. And do you feel in a startup position, you're quite often told that at startups you're getting to do a little bit of everything, and they're really good learning opportunities in that respect, sort of learning outside research and development as a scientist. So do you find that's been something that's been happening in your position at Mint?
Yeah, definitely. Especially back when I was an intern, I found that experience really valuable because I didn't have a lot of practical workshop skills from that I learned from my time at uni. We did a little course, but I never really put them into practice. And when I was an intern, they had me rebuilding their pilot plant, which they had recently moved from their Parnell site. And that was a big challenge for me because I'd never been in charge of a project like that. I did it with another intern, but there were still bits of it that I did on my own, and that was a massive learning curve and really good for me because I feel like as an engineer, you need to be able to pick up a spanner or a drill. Like, at least you need to look like you have picked up a spanner or a drill. Like,
do you feel it's skills from every year of the university degree that you sort of carried forward, or do you feel it's sort of predominantly later learnings, like project learnings in your internships and honours?
I feel like in terms of life skills, things like time management and taking initiative and stuff like that, I'm drawing a lot on my fourth year where so much of it is self-directed. In terms of course content though, I feel like I'm like using a little bit of everything from all the years, but not all of my degree, if that makes sense.
Right. Has there been any skill or something that you spent a lot of time on learning or doing at university that you feel isn't quite so relevant to where you are now?
It's kind of like, it's sort of, university is sort of like panning for gold, right? You don't just put a bunch of like stuff in your pan and go, oh, this is mostly rock. There's hardly any gold here. You know that there are little nuggets in there that are really valuable. And I think it's really important to look at learning from the point of view of not this is valuable, this isn't, but it's all valuable, you just don't know when. One thing I do want to say is that when I was doing university, there were a lot of assignments that I found that I did think, this is going to be useless, I'm never going to use this. This assignment is way too hard or way too vague, and it's not teaching me anything. But when I got into a career and into the real world, I realized that those assignments in many ways were the most helpful because they taught you the skills you needed to approach a problem, because the world isn't perfect. And so I feel like I learned more in some ways from the bad assignments and from the bad lecturers than I did from the better lecturers. Like, I learned things like how to interpret a problem that wasn't defined properly, or how to understand someone who probably wasn't the most well expressed. So that's something that I found quite valuable.
So is there any advice that you'd have to students looking for internships currently as we're coming to the end of semester one, sort of things that they can do to maximize their chances of success in securing an internship at the end of the year?
I think my main piece of advice when it comes to securing an internship is just to send out a bunch of applications and don't get too emotionally attached to any of them. I found searching for an internship quite difficult, actually, and I found it quite hard to get rejected. But the key is you put yourself out there, you acknowledge that you're going to get rejected a lot, and that it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. When it comes to like improving your chances of getting an internship, I think definitely pursue extracurriculars that'll make your CV stand out. Get someone who knows a lot about CVs, preferably someone who's been involved in hiring before, to read your CV and your cover letter and give you advice, because that's really important. Practice job interviews, vital. I've had horrific experiences with job interviews, so definitely practice. And internships might not come from the places you expect, so make sure you keep an ear out, keep contact with your connections, and if there's even a chance that someone might be hiring, apply.